I'm reading all of your chats. Happy Republic Day to all of you guys. This is going to be a really exciting class for all of you. Promise you. Just tell me if you can see me.
You're on your own, but nothing to hold you back. And now you're driven past the red light. Behind the shades, all the colors seem faded. And now you're moving at the speed of light. I'll lead you home tonight.
Hi.
When you're tired out of the dark nights and need someone to hold,
Let's get started.
I'll be flying in the cold rain. I'm never gonna let you go.
Alright, great. I think we are ready. Welcome everyone. Today we'll be taking a look at coding. Now this is going to be a really exciting class for all of you out there. If you are interested about coding, if you've been hearing a lot of news that what coding can actually do for you, like you will be amazed to see the impact that coding has if you can just learn how it really works, right? I'll talk about what programming really is. We'll talk about how can you improve and how can you get started. It would be completely for you as a beginner. If you are currently in 6th, 7th, 8th grade, this would be an amazing way for you to get started with coding. All right, so I hope all of you guys are excited. Make sure that you subscribe to this channel as well, because I'll be doing some more classes in the future if this one is successful. Smruti and Simmerleen Kaur, welcome to the class. Let's just take a look at what we'll be doing, right? So first of all, let's talk about what coding really is. What is coding? What is computer science? What is software development? What do these things really mean, right? Let's talk about this for a moment. So what happens is that basically programming or coding or software development, all of these terms mean the same thing, and that is to build applications, to build things that people would actually use. Now, for you to build something, you need a platform, right? The platform for us, luckily, is the internet itself, right? You're watching this video right now on YouTube. YouTube is a platform, right? So this is a big opportunity. Internet has enabled us to create applications, right? That has opened up a lot of doors for people to just create some application, and that can be used by people around the world. So you can create a very simple game, you can create a very simple application, and millions of people around the world can start using it and can start learning from it, right? I think that is something that is never been witnessed before in history. This is what I'll be talking about, what coding really is. It is about building applications that people would want to use, right? Very simple definition is this. Now let's talk about what other things are there, right? So next we have, you might have heard this term called as an algorithm. So what is an algorithm really? I have written a game, Simmerleen, that is amazing. What is the name of the game and what does it do? Please share with us. In the meantime, I'll talk about, hi Sanskar, hi Kamla. In the meantime, I'll talk about what an algorithm really is, right? So we'll actually take a look at that as well. But before that, guys, I think we are just getting started. It would be great if you can just share this video with your friends. Maybe they are in the same class as yours, so you can just share it with them. They would also be able to learn from this amazing session. So just do that right now, and then we'll quickly get started. Right? So first of all, what is an algorithm really? Let's take a look at this. This is a big, bold word. A lot of you are not able to understand what it really means. I'll break it down for all of you, right? So algorithm basically means that you are creating a step-by-step methodology to solve something. Now that can be anything. For example, let's say you want to make Maggie, to eat Maggie, right? So you're hungry, you were like, okay, I want to make something quick, that's Maggie, or some other noodles, right? So what you would do is that you would go to the kitchen from your room, you would bring out that pack of noodles or Maggie, whatever you want to choose, and then you will take out that pack, you'll put it into the vessel, and then you start cooking it, right? Now, there are some steps involved here. There were some things that you did. There were some steps that you took to achieve the end result. That was the cooked Maggie that you already love and you enjoy eating it. So that is what I want to talk about. This is what an algorithm really is. It's a very simple, just step of instructions that you need to follow to create something. Let's say you want to, like as I've talked about, you want to eat something, so you'll be making it, right? So cooking is an example of an algorithm, right? It's just like, okay, you can put 2 tablespoons of maybe turmeric, then you'll need to put in 2 tablespoons of ginger powder, whatever that is. But basically you'll be having a step-by-step guide that, okay, wait for 15 minutes for it to boil, then we'll do something else, then we'll do something else. This step-by-step procedure is actually called as an algorithm. I have given you an analogy of cooking something. Similarly, we can learn about how can you build games, how can you build applications, right? So that's, I think, is really amazing for you to understand. It's a very methodological way. There's nothing out of the blue, like some magic is happening, nothing like that is happening. It's very simple. You create a step-by-step approach to solving a problem, basically. All right. So yeah, that's what it basically is. Let's say you want to go to some place. Let's say you want to travel from India to, let's say, US. What would you do? First of all, would book a cab to the nearest airport, right? You would travel to the airport. That is step number 1. Then you will check into the airport. That's step number 2. And then you'll wait over there for some time. Then what you will do, you would actually board the flight. That is step number 3. You will wait in the flight while the flight travels from India to US, and then you will get out of it, and then you will departure, and then that is how you get into US. Now this was a step, right? I was having steps every single time. This is what I wanted to understand. This is what algorithm really means at the end of the day. Very simple terms. That is what it really is. Do you have any questions? An algorithm is simply a set of steps used to complete a specific task. They are building blocks for programming, and they allow things like computers, smartphones, or websites to, yeah, that is completely correct, Ashutosh. Agree with you. Already there are a lot of comments over here. I'm trying to read all of them, guys, so just give me some time. Sir, it is a game in which the balls are falling from the sky and a person is getting saved from that balls. Okay, all right. So I understand. Let's say there are some like snow falling, and then you need to make sure that it doesn't fall on the person, right? That's what I think you're trying to say. That's amazing. Similarly, I'll show you a few things with which you can create games by the end of this session. So just keep watching it, right? That is really important. Sir, we need laptop also. Yeah, sure. So requirements, you need to have a laptop to code. That's important. You can start coding with your phone itself, but to be honest, you really need a laptop, right? I mean, you need to have a big screen in which you can actually create something properly. That's really important. Even I have like a big 30-inch like a screen which I use to create things. So that's important. We need laptop also. Okay. We need teacher. Sophia, welcome to the class. Okay, so let me just go back and Smriti, no. Neeraj, coding. Yeah, today we are learning about coding. How can you get started with coding? And just a very basic introduction to what programming really is. It's a very much rewarding field if you enjoy to build applications or games for that matter. We'll talk about what all can you actually do, right? So hi Sophia. Okay, let me go down and let's take a look at the next part, right? So we've talked about what an algorithm is. Very simple. It's just a step of instructions that we need to follow. So, hi Sakshi, what is your qualification? I'm a second year student, guys. I'm a second year student at BITS Pilani Goa campus. I forgot to introduce myself, but basically I am Ishan Sharma. I'm a second year student at BITS Pilani Goa campus. I'm currently pursuing electrical engineering. I have my own YouTube channel by the same name, Ishan Sharma, and I really enjoy building applications, right? I have learned Python and I've also learned JavaScript and just basically web development. I enjoy creating websites. So that's a little bit of an introduction about who I am, what I do. Sorry, I completely forgot to do that before. But anyways, let's continue. Hi Hitesh, welcome to the class. Hi Sakshi. All right, so let me go down. Let's take a look at the next topic, and that is what are the fields in coding? What all can you actually do? Now, I haven't talked about everything over here, but a few things that you can imagine can be, first of all, you can get into web development, right? You can start creating websites. A lot of businesses want to build their own websites, but they don't know how to get started, right? How to execute this. That is where you can come, you can be of help, and you can just be like, okay, I can create websites, I know web development, and I'll handle the website part of it. Or you can also get into Android development. This is where you'll start off. To create Android applications, right? You can also include iOS development, in which you'll be building applications for the iOS and iPad OS and Mac OS as well, right? So that's what is included. I'll talk about exactly how to get started with all of these things, so just be patient. Deepak, which exam you have to give to enter BITS? It's called as BITSAT. It's called as BITSAT exam that you give after your 12th. All right, so Android development, we have talked about what we do with that. Then we have machine learning. Now this is a very much buzzing field. A lot of people are like, I'll become like a machine learning engineer, or I'll become like a data scientist and all. And there are a lot of news that things like people say that data scientists are getting paid a lot more than other developers. So the thing is that machine learning is just a way for you to predict something, right? It's just a way for you to predict something. Really excited to learn coding. I have learned on Scratch. I want to learn further. That is amazing, Sangeeta. Welcome to this class. We'll talk about exactly that. It will start with Scratch, and then we'll gradually move on to the other part of coding, which is the more methodological, more practical part, like just as typing code. We'll talk about that too. Don't worry about that. Hi Krish. Hi Satyam. Hi Kanav. Hi Ravindra. All right. Hi Gitika. Okay. So basically, machine learning is where you would actually predict something. Let's say you want to predict how much rainfall would there be in Mumbai, for example. So what you can do is that you can feed this program a lot of information about what has been the rainfall in the previous years, right? So you can just say, okay, there was X amount of rainfall in 2020, Y amount of rainfall in 2019, and then what will it do? It will actually assess all of these things, and then at the end of the day, it will give you one final answer that, okay, in 2021, Mumbai will be seeing this much amount of rainfall in centimeters or other unit. But basically, the concept here is that you need to predict something, okay? That's what basically happens in machine learning. I won't go into much more detail because again, we don't have the time. So that was just a very simple way to understand what machine learning really is. All right, let's move on to the next part, and that is DevOps, right? So what is DevOps? DevOps is basically where you'll be handling the servers, where you'll be handling how data is processed and all that. That is what you do over there. I'm trying to read all of your comments, guys, so just give me a minute. Okay, you're Tanya. Okay. Hi, Ayush. Read games further. Are you going to teach basic coding today or moderate, sir? I'll start with the basics of coding, right? Because it's a very beginner friendly class. But at the end, I'll also talk about what all can you do if you want to get started with other aspects. What can you do for that? So we have to give JEE exam to join BITS? No, you don't. That is not a requirement. Nirmal, please tell you read which class Sophia changed. Okay, all right. So let me just continue now. DevOps is where you'll be handling the data that comes into. That is how you'll be handling how data is processed, how data is stored. Let's say you have a website like Facebook. Okay, so Facebook or Instagram, basically these big websites, what they do is that they store all of your information securely at some place. Now, where is that place exactly? That you can imagine to be like some huge places in which they'll be having some big computers, heavy computers in which they'll be storing your information, right? That's what basically happens. And that's where DevOps comes into picture. Okay, so that was a basic introduction to DevOps. Now there are other things as well. You can get into game development, in which you'll be building games using some softwares, and you can make 2D games, 3D games, indie games, and all that. So all of those things are definitely there. Game development specifically can be really it can be really entertaining for you students. If you're just starting out, that's how I started. I started learning by building games, right? So I got a lot more interested into it when I was building games, because that's what I've been doing. Previously, I was playing a lot of games, right? I was playing Clash of Clans, all the popular games, Clash Royale and all that, Brawl Stars and all that. So I got really interested about how these games are actually created. So what will you teach? For example, you will show to make a simple application, or will you familiarize with other things? I'll just give you a brief introduction to what all these things really are. I'll start with some scratch, simple programs. I'll teach you what the basic fundamentals are, and then you can go ahead with it, right? How do we do these things? I'm telling exactly that. Just wait for some time. How do we do these things? I'll talk about this. Right. So I was talking about game development, right? So game development, again, there are a lot of companies in which you will have a lot of game developers. You have esports, other companies are also there. Basically, these companies, all they do is that they create games. Imagine how amazing it would be if you would just go to your job and you create games over there. You would get to make games, and that would be like your job. That would be really interesting, right? So let's move on. These are the basic fields in coding. Yes, there are cybersecurity as well. That is another field that you can get into, but I'm not talking about that. There are many other fields like that. Ronak, thank you so much. We'll take a look at that, right? So we'll see about that. Hi, Shweta. So let me just go down and let's talk about the programming fundamentals. Now, these are just the basics of programming. These are the things that you would need to learn to start building things, right? You need to have some sort of an algorithm to create that step of instructions. You need to have these building blocks, right? So let's say you had spices when you were making Maggie or some other thing. Similarly, you will need some building blocks in programming, right? So what are those building blocks? Let's take a look at that. First of all, you have something called as variables, right? You have something called as variables, as you can see over here. What variables basically do is that they allow you to assign a value to them, which you can use afterwards. Nirmal is asking, sir, is coding difficult? It depends on you. It depends on if you enjoy it or not, right? So yes, there are moments when you will feel really intimidated, you will feel that it is really hard, you want to give up. But there are also a lot of moments when you'll be like, aha, that is so amazing. The end product, when you'll actually create your website or your Android app or your game, the end product is what will give you a lot more happiness, right? And yeah, I mean, there are some moments as well in which you'll feel really demotivated and all, but it happens. It happens with every other, with whatever you'll be doing in life. Okay, so yeah, that's what I would say. But overall, I would say it's more interesting than other careers that you would go into. I would say that, right? I am a developer, so that's why I'm saying it. It can be different for you. People can have other, perspectives. That's completely all right. So yeah, first of all, you have variables which you assign some value to. Then you have something called as conditionals, right? Now, what happens with a conditional is that you basically say that, okay, if some condition is true, then I want to do this, right? Let's say we can have a condition that if you finish the homework, you'll get to play, right? For example, you can just say that, okay, if you get A+ in a subject, you'll get a chocolate, right? So something of that sort. I'm just making it up, but I hope you understand what I'm trying to convey here, right? You can have a condition, and if that condition is true, then this block of code will be executed. This will happen. If it is not true, then this will happen. Okay, so that's what I would say, right? So yeah, then let's take a look at loops. What are loops? Basically, we'll take a look at these. So with loops, what happens is that you first of all have something that you want to repeat over it, right? So you have a condition, and until that condition is true, until that condition is false, you just want to run it over and over again, right? So you'd want to do it again and again and again. So you have things like for loops, you have while loops. Okay, we'll take a look at these as well on Scratch, and if we have the time, we'll also go with using Python to understand how these things really work. All right, so this was basically loops. Then we also have something called as functions, right? What functions do is that they allow us to create a block of code that you can run again and again, otherwise outside of your main program, right? So this is the benefit of creating functions versus creating other things, right? So you can just have one function which would have loops, conditionals, variables, and then you can use this function and you can execute it other places at other places as well, right? So that's the whole concept or the whole idea of having functions. Then you also have something called as classes and objects. Let me give an example. Let's say you have something called as, you have cars basically, right? You have a lot of cars, but the category is always going to be a car, right? So you have Swift Desire, you have Tata Indica, whatever cars there are. At the end of the day, they are cars, right? So car is actually a class over here. And then these are the objects, the car names, the individual models, the brands and all that is an object of a class, right? So you can imagine, you can create like a hierarchy in which you have car at the top, and then leading from that, you have the branches, which would be the other classes, the other cars that you have, the name of the cars, right? So that's what you can imagine it to be. That's such a very basic understanding of what classes and objects really are. Okay, so we've learned about the basic programming fundamentals. Let's move down and let's take a look at the next thing. And this is going to be, what are the programming languages? Now, I see this happen a lot of times. A lot of people put in too much importance to programming languages themselves. Now, think about it. What is your end goal? What do you want to do with programming? You want to build something, right? You want to create some application, some game, some website, or whatever you want to do with it. At the end of the day, you want to build something, right? Now, programming languages is just a way for you to build them. It is just a tool, and that's what it is at the end of the day. What you do with it matters more than what you actually use, right? So you have Python, for example. That's one of the most popular programming languages right now, right? You also have JavaScript. Why are there so many programming languages, you might be asking? So what happens is that Python, JavaScript, Java, all of them have their own characteristics. They have their own specialities, things that make them different. And that is why they are preferred to be used for a particular domain. Let me give you an example. Let's say you have JavaScript here, right? So JavaScript is basically used for building websites, right? That's what it is used for basically. Then you also have something like you have Python, for example. On Python, what you do is that you can start doing machine learning. Now, why is that the case? Because it has some properties which enable it to be better used for machine learning, right? Similar is the case with JavaScript. Why is JavaScript used for building applications, like building websites, for example? Because it has some qualities that other programming languages don't have, or not to that extent at least. That is why JavaScript is preferred to building websites, right? Then we have Java. Java is a programming language with which you can create Android applications, right? You can also learn Kotlin, you have Flutter. These languages actually help you to build Android applications, okay? They have some qualities that make them different from one another. Then you also have C, you have C++, you have C Sharp. C Sharp and C++ can basically be used for you to create games. Right now, that is where you will see the biggest games. You see PUBG, you see Fortnite and all that. A lot of them actually use C Sharp and C++, right? That's what they actually use. If you take a look at Python, yes, you can build games with Python, but again, it's not like the main use case of Python. It's a side thing that you can do with Python. Once you know Python, you can build games with it. Okay, but yeah, that's what I want you to understand. Then we also have other languages like PHP, Swift, Go, Perl and Ruby. There are many more languages. There are like unlimited languages. You can actually create your own language as well. If you know programming well enough, you can create your own programming language, right? So that's really amazing for you to just think about. Let's say you have some idea that, okay, this programming language is good, this is also good, but I think I can make a better programming language. Just mix and match, see what fits well. What do you think what a programming language should be, and you can create your own, right? That is also possible. So yeah, that's something to keep in mind. But always remember, don't be obsessed over how many programming languages you know. Be more interested into learning one and mastering it properly. Okay, I only know 2 programming languages out of these properly. Okay, and that is Python and JavaScript. I don't know the other ones properly, and I don't even want to know them, because again, it's more about the depth that you should go versus width. Okay, that's what I would tell you to focus. Just choose any language. In the beginning, you can try them all. You can see what fits you well. See what is your end goal. What do you want to create? What seems more exciting to you? And then just go backward and choose a programming language that fits that particular purpose. All right, that's pretty much it about programming languages. Nothing too difficult. I hope you understand how they work now. Hopefully this will be helpful. Next, let's take a look at why there are so many languages. Again, as I've talked about in the previous slide, you need to have a lot of applications, right? Basically, programming leads to a lot of applications. Okay, you can build applications, websites, games, cybersecurity, and other things. At the end of the day, you have all of these other applications. And so for them, you need to build different programming languages that would be best suited for them. Okay, so that's the basic understanding of why there are so many languages. Okay, so today I want to take a look at Scratch really quickly. It's very simple for you to learn and get started with. It uses something called as a drag and drop model. This is not real coding, let me just tell you that, but it will give you a good feel of what programs really are, of how programs are really created. Okay, so that's just what I want to show you all in today's class. I'll just be going over it. I'll show you how they really work. Okay, so let's take a look at Scratch. This is a website developed by MIT. Okay, so Massachusetts Institute of Technology. They have made this website available for us to just learn coding from the ground up. Okay, so yeah, I mean, that's what I'll be talking about. But before that, I want to quickly talk about some misconceptions. Okay, now this is important because again, you should not be misled, you should not have wrong beliefs. Okay, so again, the first one is going to be that you should know few languages but know them really well. Okay, that's really important. That's one misconception that people have. It's like they just count. It's like how many languages do you know? How many languages do you know? I know 10, you know 5. I am better than you. It's not like that. If you know one language, that's amazing. That's all that you need, but you need to know it well enough. Okay, that's really important for you to understand. Let's move on. Let's take a look at some other misconceptions that I can remember. Yeah, one thing that people do is that they just focus too much on learning these languages. It's just like they're just solving. They're learning about the syntax, about the grammar, about the grammar of this language, and they're not paying too much attention to building things. At the end of the day, that's what you really should be doing. You are a software developer, at least an aspiring one, right? You are an aspiring software developer. So what you should be doing is that you should be focusing on building things, and that's how you will learn all of the things, right? That's what has happened with my own life, with my own, whatever I've built so far. I have learned all of them by applying my learnings. Okay, so that's important for you to understand. But yeah, that is one misconception. Another one is, I think it's floating around right now a lot, and that is that you can get paid a lot as a software developer. Now that is true. I will agree with that. It leads to some great, monetary benefits and all that. But if that is your only motivation to learn coding, that's not going to take you very far. Okay, so have motivation towards building something. Okay, that's what I really want you to understand. It's really important that you focus on building something versus just taking a look at the monetary benefit. Yes, it is good that you have that monetary benefit, but if you want to be a long-lasting developer that's in the field for a long time, really need to have passion towards building something. Okay. So yeah, just wanted to make that point clear for all of you. Let's move on. I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Let's just dive into Scratch and learn over there. Also, you can ask your questions in the chat. I'll be answering them after some time. Okay. So once I've shown you what Scratch is, and then we can take a look at your questions. So that's just something to keep in mind. Also, one thing to note is that make sure that you subscribe to this channel, because I'll be coming up with a lot more content around coding, so you don't want to miss any of those. Okay, so this is the website. It's called as scratch.mit.edu. Okay, very simple. Just go to scratch.mit.edu and this is what you actually get. This is the main page. Let's say just click on start creating. Okay, just click over here, start creating, and you will have a very simple window. Let's take a look at this. All right. So the way this works, it's very simple. So this might look complicated to you, but it really is not. It's a very simple interface. So what you see in the middle is the part in which you can put in your code. Okay. And this is the part over here where you can see this cat, right? This is the part in which you'll see what the code really does. Okay. So that's really important for you to understand. All right. But yeah, that's just something to keep in mind. Then we also have all of these things. Now, what are these? These are blocks of code that you can use to actually build something out. Okay. So if I were to zoom in, okay, let's just take a look at something. So you have motion, you have looks, you have sound, you have events. Okay. So if I were to zoom in, you can take a look at all of these things, right? So all of these things enable you to use these blocks. You're not writing any code. You're just using these blocks to build out something or to have like a feature. Okay. So yeah, you have looks, you have sound, you have events as well. We'll talk about what these really mean. And then I'll also show you some examples of what all can you build. Okay. You have sensing, all of these things you can do. Let's start with motion. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll just zoom out first of all. Just need to zoom out. Let me just refresh. Just give me a minute. Let's just open it once more. Okay, it should work now. Okay, anyways, we are very good to go. So what I'll do now is I'll just click on this and I'll drag it into the main area. Okay, and it basically says move 10 steps. Okay, so if I play this, nothing really would happen because again we haven't really done anything. So what we'll do now is that we'll go to events. Okay, we'll go to events and we'll click at this part. Okay, we'll drag it and we'll put it on top of it. You see how it is just going to stick to it like this, right? So what it does is that it says that whenever this flag is clicked, you want to move by 10 steps. So when I click on this flag, it will move by 10 steps forward. Now you can change this 10 and you can make it like 100 steps as well. And then if someone clicks on this flag, it moves ahead by 10 steps, by 100 steps actually. So that's what you can do. And you can again just move it around however you like. Okay. Now you can change this sprite as well. You can have other sprites. I'll show you how to do that. But basically you can go to costumes and then you can choose which one do you want. You can change a few things. It's completely up to you for you to start using this. All right. But yeah, first of all, we'll just say that when this flag is clicked, you'll have to move by 100 steps. This is basically me just saying that whenever we start the program, you want to just move by 10 steps, by 100 steps, whatever that is. What we can also do is that we can start having some if conditions and just check for something. Okay, so what we'll do now is that we can just say if blank, then blank, right? So what this if means is that we can actually just put in some condition inside of it. Let's try to do this. Let's try to put in, let's see what we can do. So if I go here and if I try to put this in, it would not happen. But first of all, I can just see that if I need to put in some condition over here, right? So I can just search, I can see what conditions do I have when space key is pressed, right? So you can also take a look at this. So what this does, let me just throw this out. I can actually delete this. I can just choose this and I can delete it, right? So let's say I have this. Then what we'll do is that we'll just have this with us. Wait a minute. When this space key is pressed, I want to do something. Okay, so I can just choose what I want to do. I can just go here. I can again say move by 15 degrees, right? So I can just choose which key do I actually want there to be. But whenever I'll press it, it will move by 15 degrees. Or I can again just change this degree by any number. I can make it like 50 degrees, for example, and now it would move by 50 degrees if I'll press this. So yeah, this is what it happens. Basically, you can just keep pressing the space key or the space bar and you will see that effect happening. Okay, so yeah, this is basically like a listener event. It is just checking, it is listening. Whenever I'll press this button, it will turn it around. Okay, so that's what happens. Now what we can also do is that we can say hello for 2 times. Okay, so we can just say when the space key is pressed, turn it by 50 degrees and just speak hello for 2 seconds. If I run this right now, it will say hello. Okay, now I can edit it and I can just make it like something like hi everyone, for example. Right, so we can just tell it this and then we can start by pressing the space button. So it will move by 50 degrees in the clockwise direction and it would also say hi everyone for 2 seconds. You can change this 2 seconds to 10 seconds, for example. And now if you click on the space bar, it moves by 50 degrees and it says hi everyone for 10 seconds, right? So yeah, this is what you can do. This is what you can create. There are a lot of things over here that I have not discussed here. I can go to variables and I can create like a variable for myself. What is a variable? Let's say I can just put something here. I can just put in rename variable. So I have this variable called as my variable, right? I can also just rename it. I can make it VAR, for example. Okay, I'll just say VAR, select VAR, set VAR to, let's say 5. Okay, so we'll set that to be 5. And then what we'll do is we'll see if we have some other things. So we have these events, we have some controls. So we can use this, right? So what we can do, we can create a for loop, which would just loop and it would increment the value of VAR by 1. What that means is that you can just say that, okay, I want to have this VAR and for 5 times, I want to increment its value by 1. Currently it is 5, but then I want to make it 10. So that's what I would do, right? So yeah, that's what you can do. You have if and you also have else conditions. So you can use these. So I can just say if, and I need to create a condition right now. So I'll have to think about a condition that I can create. My blocks, I can just make some blocks of my own as well. So I have this variable and I have variables value. If I can try to just put it over here, I can just check for something, right? So let's take a look at what we can do. We have some operators as well. Set to, okay. So you can just choose from these values and then you can execute these things. Okay. So you can just say set this thing to actually be 5 plus 10, for example. Okay. So you can do things like this and then you can do other actions as well in your program. So that's what you can do. There are a lot of things over here. I hope you get the idea of what all can you actually create by using this program. Okay, So yeah, basically you can just keep repeating things as well. Repeat until, right? You have something called as repeat until as well. This is a while loop. Basically what it does is that it just checks that while this particular counter is less than some particular number, do this particular thing. What that can be, that can just be like turning 50 degrees, say hi to everyone for 10 seconds or for 2 seconds actually, and then repeat until VAR is greater than that, and we can increment the value of VAR as well. Okay, so we can just say change VAR. We have VAR by 1. Okay, so this is what will be happening. I can also repeat until, right? So I need to find some sort of a condition that can fit over there. So I'll check for some conditions. I can put this over here. So what this says is that repeat until this VAR, I can put this VAR on top of it. I hope you can see what I'm doing here. I'm saying that repeat VAR until basically VAR is equal to 50, turn 50 degrees, say hello to everyone for 2 seconds, and then change VAR by 1. I'll just delete this part. I'll zoom out a little bit. I'll put this over here. Okay, I'll get rid of this as well. And so yeah, what I'll do, I'll also have like a event that would start it off. So this is what I have. Basically what it says is that click on the play button, click on this flag over here. When you click on that, it will set the variable to 15, and then it will keep repeating it until this variable of 50 becomes 50. Okay, it would say hi everyone for 2 seconds, and that's how everything will be happening. Okay, so I can also just keep changing this. I can make it like 5 if I want to. So let's just try to run this program. So it would say hi everyone. It will again move. It will say hi everyone. Again move, say hi everyone. This is a loop that I have. Okay, so I've shown you loops. I've shown you conditions. We can take a look at variable, basically functions as well, right? So we'll take a look at that, but it will continue to do the same thing again and again until the value of 15 becomes 50. Okay, so yeah, I mean that's the basics of basically how to use Scratch. You can do a lot of things with Scratch. If I just go to the main website that they have some amazing projects that people have created, just kids like you who are interested into building something. So you can just go to explore over here. Okay, just click on explore, and here you can go to games, and you'll find a lot of games over here. Now again, you can also make a game, and that game can be published over here. People can just click on it. People can just start running that code. So let's take an example of what we can actually get. This is an example of what you can make, right? So when you will have enough understanding of what game you want to make, you can actually start creating that game yourself. Okay, so yeah, I mean just try to break everything down into pieces and see how everything really works. That I think is really important. So let's take a look at this game and understand how everything is happening over here. Okay, so a lot of things are happening here. You might say that this is a lot of code and all. Yes, it is a lot from what we've been doing previously, but yeah, there's a lot over here, right? So okay, we'll try to break it down. So first of all, what happens is that you have something called as define. Okay, this define basically means that you're defining a function. What this function does, the name of the function is yCall. It repeats until not touching color or touching color or touching color. Basically, it is checking for some conditions, and if that condition turns out to be false, it would run this program. Okay, it would start running this program. There are a lot of things that are happening in this game. If I try to run this, let's take a look at what happens over here then. So I'll do this, and let's just try to play this one. So what you do inside of this game, you just have this black ball, you start running it, and you can see that you can just climb on it as well. You start climbing on objects, and you can move ahead, you can climb again, and you'll see this is a much more complicated game that we are seeing over here. you can just remove all of these things and you can start working from a blank slate, right? So, okay, you can do this, you can do this, you can just keep playing this game for a long time. Okay, so that's what I wanted to understand. This is what you can actually do. You can build games that people can play and they can enjoy playing these games, and you can also build websites, right? And games and apps and all those things. All right, so yeah, this is what Scratch really is. This is how you create all of these applications. It might take you some time, but the end result is really amazing, right? As you can see, this game looks amazing. You can actually start playing this game. Let me just make it full screen, and you can start just tinkering around, just seeing how to play this game, how to build this game. Think about what might have happened, how can you break it all down, right? So there are some conditions that are checking. If this black ball touches this red triangle, okay, and if that does happen, then what you do is that you restart the game. Okay, there are some conditions which say that you cannot go downwards, that you need to stay on top of this green grass or texture, whatever you have here. So that's actually something that you need to keep in mind, right? So yeah, that's how this thing basically works. I won't go into much more detail, but I want to take your questions. So yeah, guys, make sure, I want to talk about one more thing. So real quick, I'll just talk about that. Okay, let me just make it full screen. So what is happening is that we at Creative Corner are creating this event called as Timeout. Okay, and at Timeout, it is a free event for all of you to join, and you'll be able to learn about a lot of skills. You can learn robotics, you can learn programming, you can learn about magic tricks, you can learn about Vedic mathematics. There are just a lot of things that you can take a look at. Really interesting. I think you should definitely take a look at that. Now the way for you to sign up for it is very simple. Just go to the link in description. You can sign up for that. And as you can see, this is what you learn. You learn a lot of things. You learn public speaking as well, which is really important in today's age. Now, what you can do is that you can use this code called as Ishan YT10 to enter into these classes. Okay, you can use this code to enter into all of these classes that you have. So let's say you want to go into the public speaking class. You can enter that class by using my code for free. Okay, just write this code. And for example, you want to just try out the plus subscription that we have at Unacademy, you can also use this code to avail a 10% discount. All right, so yeah, just keep this thing in mind. Now what you can also do is, I want you to create some sort of a game. Okay, that's what I want to do. Just go to scratch.mit.edu and start building something. Just tinker around, spend some time over there, half an hour, 1 hour, and you will feel that you can build something really amazing. It depends on your imagination what you want to build. That's why I really enjoy coding, because there's just no limit to what you can build. It depends on what you can imagine. You can just start building that up. So that's really important. But yeah, let's just move on. I want to talk about this Creative on a Timeout event, which you can learn about all of these skills. It will be happening on the 31st of January at 9 a.m. It starts at 9 a.m. And as you can see, we have a lot of classes. I also have my own class on 10 a.m. on the same day, 31st of January, in which I'll be talking about 7 Python modules that you can learn and 3 data structures that you need to master in Python, right? So in Python, what happens is that there are just a lot of technologies that you can learn from, and you can start building things using these modules. So that's what I'll just talk about. I'll start with some modules. I'll talk about what are some really interesting projects that you can create, and it would just be a great session that we can have. So yeah, if you are interested, make sure that you sign up and register in advance, 31st January, 9 a.m. onwards. Okay guys, make sure that you share this video with your friends. That would be really great. They can also learn from this amazing class that we just had. And I'll also take a look at your questions right now. Just give me some time here. Okay, yeah, make sure that you subscribe to the channel as well. Okay, now let me just take a look at your questions. Scam, Creative Corner, not interested. Today's Menti quiz. It's OP in the chat. Oh. Sir, if we only learn about Android dev apps, then which language is used to make a PC application? So if you want to build like a PC, like a Windows application, for that you'll be using, you can use a lot of things. You can use C++ for that, right? This Windows, like if you take a look at what Windows is, Windows was actually built up, you have Windows and you can use it. It was actually built up using C and C++, right? C and C++ are basically like the mother of all languages. Why we say that? Basically, when we started off, we only had C and C++, okay? Then we had these newer languages like Python, we had JavaScript, okay? And these are some recent languages, but C++ has been here, C has been with us for a long time, okay? So yeah, that's just something important to just let all of you know. Please ask your questions if you have any. Hi, okay. Happy Republic Day to all of you guys. You are really best for coding, so thank you so much, Jay. Thank you so much. Today is my birthday. Happy birthday, Sneha. Can you tell about IIT versus BITS? That's really out of the topic that we are having right now discussion on. There's no you cannot compare IITs and BITS. Alright, if you have any questions, please ask me. I'll be happy to just share whatever I know, whatever I've learned. Okay, and do attend this session that we are having. Okay, use the code IshanYT10. Alright. Any questions, please ask. I'm waiting for your questions, guys. Any questions? Take a look at this part, okay, of Scratch. You'll find a lot of things over here. If I just go to this part, which class will you teach in the next class? We'll see what we can do over there. But I wanted to create some sort of an application using Scratch and send that to me, okay? Just send it and show what you've created. Okay, depends on your imagination. Just go see what other people are making and then you'll get some motivation, some inspiration to do the same. So in coding, can we make any game? Yeah, you can make any game, right? So you can use C# and C++. There is a software called as Unity that you use. And with that, you can start building a lot of games. 2D, 3D, whatever you want to build, you can start building that. Okay, so yeah. Is Scratch paid? No, it is not. It is not paid. It's completely free for you to use, I think. Like most of it, I don't know if it is paid, but I think it's completely available for free. It should be for free, don't worry. So yeah, just go to these applications, see how they work, understand how they have broken down the problems that they're trying to solve or whatever, question they have that are trying to get the answer of. See how they are doing it and then you can get motivated by that, inspired by that. Which IDE or source code editor is good for coding? All right, so what happens is that, again, as I've said, this is not real coding. Real coding looks more like this. I'll show you how that looks like. So this is what I have as a code editor. Okay, this is called as a code editor and this is what is real code. Okay, what you see on the screen right now is what you will be doing every single day if you want to take up or if you want to try coding, for example. You'll be coding, you'll be giving in instructions for the program or for the computer to actually perform. That's what you do at the very end. If I try to just play or just open this side and see how it looks like. Yeah, this is what it looks. Now, all of this code that you can see in front of me, this is a website that I'm creating. It has 2 files that I'm using to just make this. Okay, this is called as JavaScript. This is JavaScript code. If I go to the Google Chrome, this is what I actually have. This is a very simple place for me to just put in all the books that I have. So for example, let's say I have some other book. For example, I have something like 0 to 1, for example. Author is maybe Peter Thiel. And then ISBN can be whatever. I can just add this book to this list, and it says book added. Okay. Now, as you can see, this title is over here, the author is over here, and I can add these books to this list. Okay. This is called as a book list that I have. I can add them to this this list of books. Now, this might seem boring for all of you. I completely understand. Let me share with you some more things that we are trying to make. So this is a GUI, which is actually called as a graphical user interface, in which you can create some amazing things. So if I go to player, this is what you get. Okay. This is player. Okay. What does player do? It's basically a music player. You can play music, and this was a program that you can also build. It's very simple to create, nothing too complicated. You can just build your game. You can start this or playing your song actually. So if I go to add to playlist, I can just choose whatever song I want to play, right? So I can choose whatever song I want, and I can start playing it. I can just say play song and start playing, right? It is playing. I'll just mute it right now, but I hope you get the idea. This is what you actually do. So that was what you can create. There are a lot of examples that you can learn from. Okay. I can also show you this program. This is a very simple rock, paper, scissors game. You can choose rock, and the computer will choose out of these three things one option automatically, and it would just tell who won, who lost, right? So this is another thing that you can build. These are just applications. These are just ideas that you can implement. You can start building something out of it. So let's say I just go for your options is rock. So the computer selected paper, the computer won. So that's what you can do. There are many applications. I made like a Jarvis as well, right? So you can make like a Jarvis AI that talks to you. You can give it some things to do. Not exactly like what happens in the movie, but comparatively something like that you can do in the real world as well. All right. We have a lot of things over here that I can show you right now. So let's take a look at this. You can create some landing pages, and let me show you what all we can make. This is an example of what you can do. It's a really great looking website, or you can also make something else like this, for example. Let's see. Yeah, this is a very simple sign up page. Just enter your email, just enter your password, and you can start remember me, and you can start signing in. Okay, so that's what you can do. There are a lot of options for you to go into. You can build websites, whatever, all of these things you can do. I hope you enjoyed this short class that I just had. I know I did not discuss into too much depth, but I just want you to give a quick idea of how everything works. This is amazing, Veena. It truly is. It totally is. So let me actually show you what Jarvis does, right? Now, what is ISBN? Someone is asking. Sneha, basically ISBN is just a particular number, special number that is given to a book. Okay, so I can just say that it is like your Aadhaar card, but for books. So if you go to Jarvis, for example, it might not. Let's just take a look at how it would work. A lot of you have seen movies of Iron Man just telling Jarvis that Jarvis, do this, do that for me, right? It's not exactly that, but it's related to that, right? So if you go to this, what happens here is that you can see I have all this code. It is like what 150, 200 lines of code, I think. Yeah. But at the end of it, you see what I do. I have given it some tasks. I can just say, if I have this particular phrase in whatever I say, I want to execute this, or I want to do this. Okay. Now let's see what we need to actually do. I need to install some of the things, but basically you can ask and you can do a lot of things, right? So there's an example what you can do. Let's see. So here what you can do is that you can just ask Jarvis. You can just say, hey Jarvis, what is going to be on my calendar today? Okay, so it will tell you that, okay, today you have a meeting, today you have a class, today you have whatever things you have scheduled for your Google Calendar. It will tell you that by actually saying it out loud. So that's one thing that you can do. If I scroll down, I have a lot of these functions. You might think that it is too difficult, but it really is not. It's very simple for you to understand this once you start looking at it properly. Okay, so yeah, you can do a lot of these things here. You can ask it to, you can say, okay, hey Jarvis, who is Barack Obama? And it will tell you exactly who he really is, right? So this is also something that you can do using this program. So yeah, that is an example of what you can create. Really interesting. I hope you will look further into this particular topic. Take a look at the websites of all of these programming languages. Let's say you want to learn about Python. Start by going to python.org. This is where you can download Python and you can take a look at documentation as well. Okay, go to the documentation. You can start reading and you can start learning about how everything works. All right. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much it. I might come with some more classes if you're interested. Just building these things like Jarvis, for example, and all that, right? Scratch is completely free, I think. It is amazing. My name is Shubham Mahadev. That's amazing. All right, great. My name is Shubham. Okay. Any questions, guys? If you have any questions, please let me know. Okay, so yeah, that is just the basic difference. That is the difference between you using Scratch, in which all of it looks really amazing. This looks really colorful, and then the real code really is this. Okay, it looks more like this. So this is more powerful. Okay, writing code like this is much more powerful. You can do a lot of complicated things that you would not be able to do using Scratch, but it's a good place to start. Okay, so just use Scratch, build some games, understand how it works, and then move on. Okay, start learning Python or other things. But yeah, thank you so much for joining me here. I think not many of you have some questions. Thank you so much for this. Thank you completely. That is amazing for me to see that you've learned something from it. I have made Scratch games, Tanish. That is amazing. Please come again. Great, I'll try my best. Okay. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me here. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you all in the next class.